Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everybody. I don't have to tell you, life is challenging. There's lots going on. There's lots of stress added to that. Elections are coming up. Interest rates are high. Food prices are through the roof. And then we have those challenges that we go through in life that challenges us physically and emotionally. How do you build that resilience, that, I guess, a suit of armor to reflect or repel all these things that come at us? We're going to talk about 7 keys to emotional resilience. And she's somebody that helps people with individualized trauma-informed coaching all the time. She's back with us. Laurie Kroeger is on the program. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's so interesting that before we got on here, we were, let's just say, sharing or itching about where our October went. Like, what, this happened, that happened, this, oh yeah, how about this? And then you say, what do you think the topic is? And I'm like, resilience. And I don't know, I guess, and then I guess we're vibing each other. And that's all life. I mean, there's nothing, it's part of life. Things are going to come up. Challenges are going to come up, and you got to power through them. Doesn't mean it's easy, though, right?
It is absolutely not easy. A lot of it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I've developed a self-awareness or a emotional resilience program that my friends, that people can use online so they don't have to sit and express with somebody else. Sometimes it's a very vulnerable moment, and this will help you to learn to open up and understand how to grasp that resilience, and then talk about it with somebody who is trusted in your life, whether that's a friend, a therapist, whatever. But this really, really helps you to build on that and start creating that resilience. And it's a 26-week program. I'm only doing it for $2.99. Like, I'm just trying to get it out as best I can. But I've created 7 key points to kind of get people launched and get them started in looking at this as a possibility. Like, I really can do this. And if you go and look at my Facebook page under Laurie Kroeger, you'll be able to see some of what I went through this year. There's a nice little poison skull 2024, but between learning my mom's cancer, evading a fire, learning that my car needs a new engine, my pet's deaths, there's been a lot of things that really could have just taken me down this year. And it's one of the reasons that I think emotional resilience is so important. And so if you're ready, we can just jump right in. And if given enough time, maybe we can talk about some of these topics.
I would love to.
I'll let you pick.
I'm on the edge of my seat, and I truly mean that because, we all have stuff going on. And by the way, a lot of what we talk about, I share with other people in other areas. So I'm getting a pen. Not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
I can even just email this to you. It'll be okay.
All good. All good. Class in session.
So these 7 keys I call Calmania. It's a destination. It's a place in our mind where we really want to be calm in the midst of chaos. And the first one is self-awareness. And that's really recognizing your emotions and your responses without judgment. Self-awareness is the first step to resilience, as it allows us to understand our triggers and manage our own reactions. The second one is adaptability. Adaptability is that ability to be open to change and flexible when we're facing those challenges. Adaptability brings us closer to calmania, and it helps us to adjust our mindset when life takes those unexpected turns. The third one is optimism. And that really is the ability to create a positive outlook. Optimism strengthens our resilience by helping us see the potential in the challenges and the growth in adversity. And then we have emotional regulation. And in the videos, I teach techniques on how to manage emotions effectively, such as mindfulness, cognitive reframing. Emotional regulation brings us to calmania, where we can respond instead of react. And some of these little tips include things like if you're trying to prevent an emotional outburst, something super sour or something like Red Hots that brings you back to the present. It's amazing how just a simple flavor can bring you back.
So let's dig in a little bit more to that, because I feel, and that was a game changer for me years ago, is living in the moment and coming back to center. Because it's so easy to think about the past. Not that you're gonna forget about it, because we can learn from the past. But if you marinate in the past, that brings on depression potentially, and then you have the future. If you're always worried what's going to happen, been there, done that. That brings on a form of anxiety. Most of that stuff you worry about doesn't materialize anyway. How do you come back to center?
So one of the things that I'm going to focus on is grounding. And there are several types. You have your natural grounding, where you're physically standing in soil or on the grass and just feeling the textures. Okay. I also use the 5 senses, where you're using, how many things do I see? How many things can I touch? How many things can I smell? And it really helps you to realize that, okay, here I can take a breath. We use breathing techniques and allowing yourself to say, this is what I need to be right now, right here. I'm not going to change the past. Like just the other day, I learned that I need a new engine in my car. Was I mad? Yes. Was I ready to blow a gasket? I was. But I had to sit down and go, okay, I can't change the situation. My car's broke. So what do I need to do to move forward? And taking that moment and saying, okay, this is where I am. Now let's start looking at options and problem solving, which is actually the next skill set.
And can I share my laryngitis story?
Yes.
And it just what you said. Came down with a virus a couple of weeks ago. 10 days ago, after having acute laryngitis, that's what I was told I had. Never had that issue. I've been doing this since I was 17. Never had an issue. A little cold here and there, whatever. And the ENT told me 10 days ago that I might need therapy to learn how to talk again. He said, I'm at a 6 on a 10 scale. He said, if you continue pushing your voice, you'll hemorrhage. I'm looking at him like, obviously I couldn't talk, but I really couldn't talk at that point. Like, this is my livelihood. This is what I do. And I actually went home and sat down and just felt for the moment lost at like, really? Like, and then, things were going on in my head, and I brought myself back to center, and I'm like, you know what? Just ride this out. See how it goes. Can't work. So I took the time to ground. That's what I did. Seriously. I've been wanting to kayak all summer long. Never really had the time, once or twice or whatever. I went 3 times in a week. Obviously solo, because I can't talk to anybody, which was fine. And the weather was wonderful. And I almost feel like it was the universe's way of saying to me, you need to take a break. You need just time. And now I'm going to force you to do it, because now you can't work. And here I am 10 days later after that diagnosis, and I'm fine. No issues. Voice, I'd say like 95%, 90%. I guess I had faith. And I said, I'm not going to worry about it, because it's not going to help me. And I just kind of went along, and it started getting better and better. And that was it. But I will say, if this was 5 years ago, I would have been at DEFCON 4, freaking out. And that probably would have delayed the healing process anyway. And that brings me to a question before we continue. Laurie, do you find that when you're in these situations and you utilize some resilience, that it gets easier the next time, and easier the next time, and easier the next time? Is that kind of how it works?
It really is. And, with everything that happens, we learned something, and we learned something about us. When we were threatened with a fire just the last couple of days, I had to pack up all my essentials. I had to really focus on what is important right now. And I learned that there's a lot of things in life that we hold on to that we don't need to. Like, let it go. I've got a lot of junk in my house that I'm going, okay, let it burn. I don't need it. And then, it does. Each piece gets a little bit easier, and it takes you less time to get grounded.
Yes, 100%.
You learn to ground more quickly.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. it just kind of speeds it up. It's not to say that you're not going to freak a little bit. And what was that lesson in the fear that you might lose things in a fire, that you only need what's important. You don't need that other stuff. And I moved, fairly recently, and that was my realization too. Like we all hang on to this stuff. Now I feel like I lost weight, of getting rid of stuff. Put some stuff in storage, sure, but only like essential things. The rest of it, like it was just accumulating.
Like
You really
even
need it.
my elephants here. I'm an elephant fan. I love elephants. But was it reasonable for me to pack that as essential? No. I love them, but I was willing to let them go. It's those pieces in that you just really have to focus on what is really important right now. Yeah. And when the kids were packing up and they were grabbing all of the baby toys and they were grabbing all of these things and all of these things, and I'm like, those are just things that can be replaced, guys. And they're young. They're very young. So they're still in that accumulation phase of life.
Sure.
But it was really a really valuable lesson that, letting go of things, whether it's physical things or emotional things, just letting it go, let it burn. It's okay.
Interesting. Interesting, the analogy there of letting go, because we have an emotional attachment to items. So we're connected to it. Sometimes we need to let that connection go as we need to with other emotions. I want to ask you, when you were faced with the potential of losing things to a fire, I can't imagine what goes through your mind. A lot of us have thought about that. Well, what if? But now it's real. How long did it take you to get to that point from the freak effect, like, to the, all right, we're going to grab what we need, and maybe in the back of your mind, we'll just rebuild. It's got to work out. I can't worry about it. I can't do anything about it. It's not like I can sit there with a hose and fight the fire. How long did that take you to process?
It took me about an hour. And for me, for most people, that's probably really, really fast. But understanding that I've been using emotional resilience for a long time. So that 1 hour period was like, okay, what is worst case scenario? Your brain sees everything going up in flames. You've lost your entire livelihood. And your body just wants to freak out. And my stomach started getting really upset, and I started getting a headache, and my tension in my shoulders got really, and I'm like, okay, we need to stop. This is not helping anything. It's not going to make it easier for me to pick and choose the things that are important.
Sure.
And I was able to sit down. I took 5 minutes, did a quick meditation, and just said, okay, let's really focus on the things that are really important. Do we have our insurance documents? Do we have all the identity documents? What do we need first and foremost? And then, okay, what about clothing? And then what about, okay, are there a few keepsakes that we would really like to hold on to?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. We just took a step-by-step approach. We actually filled out a whiteboard. Okay, here we are at pre-evacuation. These are the things that we can get ready. Let's hook up the camper. Let's get the hitch on the truck. Let's get the mirrors on. Okay, let's pack a go bag. And then, so that was our immediate. Then when we decided that we were going to do the evacuation on our own terms, we went to the immediate evacuation list. Okay, do we have medications? All of those things. But by creating and being able to compartmentalize that calmly, we didn't grab all the things we didn't need. So.
And in the end, you weren't affected by the fire, correct?
Correct.
And that also demonstrates, yes, you needed to be ready for that. Of course, preparation, but it's one of those things that you could have worried about, but it didn't transpire. And they say that 90% of the things, and every couple of years, this research studies have been done on this, like 90-something, 92% typically, we worry about these things, but they don't.
They never come to fruition.
They never do. They never do.
And I must say, we had an absolutely amazing team. We had several city firefighters around us, the state, federal. It was amazing. They knocked this thing out so quick among 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Wow.
Not gusts, sustained winds. And within less than 36 hours, they had it up to 60% containment, which was unheard of and absolutely amazing.
So I want to get back to the 7 key ways, but I have a final question on the fire.
Yes.
What did you learn? What was your takeaway from that experience?
I think the biggest thing I learned is that we're never as prepared as we think we are. And it's really important to plan for those things in advance if there's a risk. Have your list ready so you're not trying to think of it when your brain is going through chaos. Fortunately, I have that ability. We were able to create that list calmly. But otherwise, people are just grabbing things all the time. So just giving yourself an opportunity to have that preparation.
And on the flip side, I'm not making light of anything, but would you say it turned out to be an adventure for you and your family?
It did.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It did. It really gave us an opportunity to, my husband and I actually discovered that we work really, really well together under pressure.
Cool. You learned something
and
else.
The communication that the two of us have worked on together made a difference.
Nice. Wow.
So,
okay. All right.
Communication is critically important when you're going through chaos.
Back to the 7.
All right. So number 5 is problem-solving skills. With emotional resilience, you view challenges as opportunities for growth. That's when we can approach problems with a solutions mindset. We build resilience and become better equipped to maintain that calm when we're facing those problems. Problems then become projects. It's easier to find a solution. Number 6 is support systems. Building strong, supportive relationships is, in our journey to Calmania, it's supported by the people that we trust, who remind us that we are not alone. And when you have that emotional resilience, you're not taking things personally all the time. You realize it's not about you. And that's really, really important. And then number 7 is purpose and vision. With emotional resilience, we keep a sense of purpose at the forefront, and that purpose gives us direction. It helps to guide us to Calmania with clarity and more meaning.
Now, when you say purpose, do you mean purpose at the moment where you have to exercise emotional resilience, or are we talking about your purpose in life?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So when you really think about, when you're thinking about emotional resilience and our purpose in life, sometimes we get disappointed and we think we're headed in the right path, but we're not. A lot of people would crumble and be, oh my God, I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. I'm so, why did I waste so much time on all of this other things? And realizing that sometimes our paths are changed based on some of the decisions that we've made. So I wanted to become an accountant. Most of my life, when I was little, I was pretty sure I was going to become an accountant. It was a thing.
Wow.
And I started going to school for it. I know, right? I hate numbers now. I hate them with passion.
Same here. It's like whenever I have to do anything number related, it's like, and I got much respect for anybody that does that. I really do.
I know. But I realized that even after spending time going to college for this, that's not really where I wanted to be. Staring at a computer, looking at numbers, I like people. I wanted to do something with people. Did I end up in the financial industry? Yes. But I was solving problems. I was working with the advisors. I was working with people. And so sometimes we set a path and we're following a map. And when you're following a map, you're following roads that have already been created. But when you decide to navigate and you set your compass in a direction, you're able to shift. You can create your own path and do your own thing. And that's where that purpose comes in, understanding that in this moment, what is my purpose? And that's where emotional resilience helps to strengthen that purpose. You can look at it calmly. You can look at it with grace and without judging yourself. And it makes a difference.
I have to believe that the purpose is something that also gives you direction,
Absolutely. And it gives us that opportunity to create the vision that we want.
Wow. These are all great, very relatable, especially as we, kind of dissect through some of them there. Not to say again that it's easy, but, as we can speak from experience, when you're challenged, when you're, in the thick of it, the more you do it, the more you actually look at yourself and say, man, how'd you pull that one off? How'd you pull that one off? Hey, and I've even had people say to me, even in recent years, I don't know how you're getting through that. How you doing that? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just doing it. Like Dory says, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
It sounds so cheesy, but I really believe it's true. And,
It is.
we all want to sometimes swim in another direction. But there's a reason that, and I try to stay away from cliches, but there's a cliche that says, go with the flow. There's a reason that the flow is taking you in this direction. And when you try to fight the current, you go back this way, but somehow, eventually you're going this way. So
Now, there are times, Steve, that, look at the salmons. Salmons will run upstream because they have a purpose. And there are occasions where you may have to go against that flow. And that's where your emotional resilience really comes in, because knowing that the rest of the world or society says you need to be doing this, when you need to create your own path and go against the grain, remember that it can be done.
I completely agree with you. And I'm going to abridge what I said. When I talk about going with the flow, that's what the universe has for you.
Yes.
That's what I meant. Right. I totally agree with you. Sometimes, you don't need to conform to what, society, other people or whatever. You got to do what you feel is right. But, ultimately, it's my opinion that there's the universe has, some kind of a plan going on there.
Yes.
And if you fight it, eventually you're going that way anyway. But
whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, it's going to make you.
Believe me, I have fought trying to go in another direction because you have to be a professional. You need to have this type of career. Getting into coaching wasn't easy at all.
Well, especially going from
one of the most challenging things I have ever done.
Bookkeeping of, initially to this. In a way, there is a correlation in maybe problem solving challenges in that regard. Just take the numbers out of the equation, no pun intended. But I bet your gut said, this is what I should be. This is my purpose.
It is.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love what I do. I love my clients. It's a great time.
You're so genuine and so clear. A lot of this can be, a little woo-woo sometimes to understand it and then apply it to your life. But you make it clear and you also make it fun. Fun in a positive way. Like, there's good stuff over here. Just keep swimming, I guess.
Yes.
How does somebody connect with you, Laurie, if they're, having some challenges, want to, get a thicker skin, if you will, with that resilience? What's the best way?
www.visiblepotential.com. Right there, you can send me your information, your request contact. My phone number's on there. You can send me an email, or you can click the link to join the program.
And you've designed this to help people, and you've made it very affordable as well. Great having you on here. I'm so happy that things worked out with the fire and everything else in your October as well. And stay safe, and we'll catch up next time.
Sounds great.
All right. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.